welcome along to London Calling. Over the course of the next hour, we'll be looking back on that defeat on the south coast of Southampton and ahead to this weekend's trip to East London to face Sam Allardyce's West Ham United. That's all to come. We've also got a competition to win a signed QPR shirt, an exclusive interview with striker Charlie Austin, and we're joined live on the sofa by this man.
Well, you can tell everybody, yeah, you can tell everybody, go ahead and tell everybody, I'm the man, I'm the man, I'm the man, yes I am, yes I am, yes I am, I'm the man, I'm the man, I'm the man. Stand up now and face the sun, won't hide my tail or turn and run, it's time to do what must be done, be a king when kingdom comes.
Hogan Ephraim, thanks very much for joining us. Lovely memories there.
Some great memories. Not too sure about the dancing, but
no.
I've worked with it a bit since then. No, some great memories and yeah, good times.
Brian, thanks for joining us as well. Before we catch up more with Hogan Ephraim, just details. Firstly, on the competition to win a signed shirt, we want your questions for Hogan. You can tweet us using hashtag LCI. Tweet us your questions, and the best one, as selected by the man himself, will win a signed QPR shirt. And our topic of debate as well, again, use hashtag LCI. What we want to know from you over the course of the next hour, what is your most memorable moment from our promotion winning season of 2010-11? Our most memorable moment, in your opinion, from that promotion winning season of 2010-11. Well, Hogan, obviously you played a critical part in that season. We'll be talking about that over the course of the next 60 minutes or so. But yeah, looking back, that must rank as one of the highlights of your career.
Most definitely. I think how it is now to win something in football, it's getting rare, to be honest, because it's the same teams winning everything, and it was just an unbelievable achievement. We brilliant from the start of the season all the way through to the end, and the celebrations, as you saw after the Watford game with Adele smashing the ceiling in, it was just unbelievable, and something that will live with me forever.
I think from recollection, Adele was dancing on top of a treatment table, was banging into the tiles were falling off the ceiling. Neil Warnock shouted, "Adele, show respect," and Adele said it was already there. It was already done.
That doesn't sound like something he would say, does it?
Brian, as I say, we'll be talking about that more over the course of the next hour. But
yeah,
firstly, what's the mood like amongst the QPR fans? A disappointing result at Southampton, but many Ars fans think it was a step in the right direction performance-wise on the road.
Well, I mean, you say it could have been 3 or 4 goals that Southampton got. But from our standpoint, we scored our first away goal. And that, again, psychologically is important. And for Charlie to score, I think is really good as well, on the basis that, you know, a lot of fans were wondering whether or not he's going to be able to make the step really up from the Championship up to the Premier League. And, you know, he scored 2 goals. The goal on Saturday was just amazing. It was the control and the vision that he did under such pressure. You know, we couldn't have asked for more. And I know that Pella, however you want to pronounce it, scored an amazing goal. I still think that Charlie's was a far better, more technique in that goal. And I think it gave us a bit of confidence. At least we know we can score away from home, but disappointing to come away with actually empty-handed again. And we're away on the road again. And, you know, you do get worried, you know, when are we going to pick up those away points?
That's the problem. When you score a goal in a defeat, everyone forgets about it. But Hogan, I know you tweeted Charlie once you saw the goal. I think you were impressed by it.
Special goal. It was just... Charlie's he's a fantastic player, and for me, there's no doubt he'll score goals at this level. And that was just so instinctive, it was ridiculous. Whereas a lot of people of lesser quality, you couldn't even think of doing that. His natural instinct there was just fabulous, and it shows why he'll score goals this season.
That almost sums up the natural goal scorer. Like you said, a lot of people didn't even think how to do what he did. He just came alive as the ball came to him at that height.
Yeah, he's one of those guys, by hook or by crook, that ball's ending up in the back of the net. And on Saturday, it was a special goal, and I'm pleased for him. And I'm sure he'll get a few more. The goal he scored here was a brilliant goal as well, on his left foot to finish like that. So I think it's just a start for him, and he'll be probably the biggest player for QPR this season.
You've got to give credit as well to Junior Hoilett, who came on, and I think we were lacking a lot. Well, I think we have been lacking players that are going to attack the opposition's defence. And I always, you know, I look to Junior Hoilett. He comes in and he's not frightened to take on defences. And, you know, a player that we haven't got playing for us, and I do hope will play for us again, Adel Taarabt, another sort of player that you actually need, a creative player with instinct that will run at defences. Because defences, they can collapse, they panic. You know, if you've got somebody running, you know, if you have a lion running at you, you'll panic. And David Hoilett, Junior Hoilett proved that again. He did it at Wembley, and he did it again on Saturday at Southampton. With his vision again, ball to Vargas, simple ball over to Charlie, and it was over 1-2-3.
Yeah. Hogan, as a player in that dressing room, how does it affect the confidence when on the road now we've had 3 games and 3 defeats, or even 4 if you include the League Cup? Does it start to become almost a mental challenge when you're getting on that team coach for an away game?
It can in a way, but if you're being realistic, they played Tottenham away, which was their manager's first game, so the home fans were up. They've played Man United away, where Di Maria, Falcao, everyone is on a high there. Southampton away, who are by far the surprise team so far this season. So it's not been easy games. Yes, that doesn't mean you give up all the points, but there were some positives. Not in the Tottenham and Man United game, fair enough, but against Southampton there were some positives. And if they can take that into West Ham, and they'll play some lesser teams, and they can pick up points there. And people like Junior and Adele, they'll be massive on away games because they're so positive. They don't mind if they're having a bad game. They will still try stuff and try and get the team going. And that's vital, and I'm sure that will show later on in the season. You
mentioned Adele there. At the moment, he's an ankle injury, which is preventing him from getting fit to get into Harry Redknapp's plans. But do you feel he can play a part this season?
100%. Yeah, once he gets himself back to fitness, he'll be a major asset to this club. What that guy can do is just special, and he can unlock doors. And if he's feeding people like Charlie and Vargas in, then I'm sure that they'll take chances, because their history shows that they do. And you do that, and then you'll be fine. And you were saying earlier, Adele's actually a player who, regardless of how he's getting on in that game, he will always show, he'll always be available. Yeah, Adele could be having an absolute stinker, the whole crowd on his back. That's not going to faze him at all. He has so much belief and self-confidence. It's amazing. And he's probably the most self-confident player I've ever known. And that's in a good way. Yeah, there's a bit of arrogance towards it, but all the top players have that. And he's someone who can unlock a door. And I thought he played a major role when the boys stayed up last time. In the second half of the season, he scored some big goals against some of the big sides. And I think he's got a major role to play once he's fit. OK, well, we've spoken about Charlie Austin, who scored a sensational goal. Sadly, it all counted for nothing. But we spoke with him after the game at St Mary's, and here's what he had to say.
Charlie, sum up the feeling in the Queen's Park Rangers dressing room for us.
Yeah, we're disappointed. We didn't get the result today. We thought that we played well and worked hard, and definitely after the 2 away performances, we knew we had to put in a shift today, and today we did. But unfortunately, it means nothing because we didn't get a point out of the game.
Having gone a goal behind, you got the equaliser. Tell us about that goal. One touch with one foot, one touch with the other.
Yeah, I just think it was striker's instinct again. I was in the right place at the right time, and lucky enough I had the touch. That set me up. I hit it early and got the goal, but unfortunately it means nothing because after about 2 minutes later they went up the other end and scored.
How disappointing was that?
Yeah, of course, when you get a goal in the game and get back in the game, you just want to stamp your authority and try and keep it at level as long as we can and try and get another chance. But unfortunately they hit us on the break, and Palace had a touch and lobbed Green. It was some finish as well.
Yeah, as a fellow striker, can you admire the quality in that goal?
Yeah, I think you have to be honest. The ball's come in. He's had a great first touch, and like I say, it's Luke Greeny, but we were disappointed we let in the goal straight after we just equalised.
How much confidence do you take from this result, though, given your previous 2 away games had finished, you'd finished on the end of 4-0 defeats. You've come here, you've scored the first away goal in the Premier League this season.
Yeah, massive, but unfortunately we didn't get the result. Like I say, after the 4-0 results that was disappointing. We knew we had to come in and put a performance in. We did that, but unfortunately we got nothing from the game.
And how are you? Towards the end, I thought you might have a hamstring. Harry Redknapp said it was cramp.
Yeah, I think it was just cramp. And then I carried on, and I was fine. Hopefully I just go through the week now and be ready for West Ham.
And do you think you will be?
Yeah. Not a lot keeps me out of playing. As long as I'm 100% fit and ready to go for the team, I'll put myself in contention for sure.
The thoughts there of Charlie Austin, who started well, scored 2 goals now in 5 appearances for himself, so he's settling in well, and he's got back from the disappointment of not scoring when he had the penalty on the opening day of the season against Hull. Everyone expected that to be his first Premier League goal. He missed. We lost the game. That could affect a player's confidence, particularly when you're trying to show you can do it at this level. Yeah, massively. I think a lot of players that would have hit them for 6, but Charlie's not like that. He knows that he scored major goals for the club last year and he'll do the same this year. Yeah, he will miss a few chances. Every striker does, but more often than not, Charlie will be the difference. One of the things that's been discussed is the issue, I know Brian hates this word, of gelling, and the fact that you sign a load of new players and people will say you need to give them time to gel. Interestingly, Southampton obviously had the heart of their team ripped apart in the summer. The manager left. Southampton named 6 summer signings in their starting 11 at the weekend, and so did QPR. Southampton are second in the table. QPR are in the bottom 3. So does it take some players time to gel and others just fit in naturally? Because when you joined the club permanently, there was 6 players who were signed in the same week. And I remember it was yourself, Matt Connolly, Akos Bizaki, I think Fitz Hall, all came in at the same time, and it was like almost everyone being introduced to each other on the training pitch. Yeah, there's some players where you go to a club you click with after 2 minutes, and I mean football-wise, you click with after 2 minutes and you're on the same wavelength. I found it when Rowan Bryan signed here, just straight away he was so easy to play with. But then there's others where they have a different style of football to you, and me personally, I like to come in from the left and play with strikers. That's why Viney was perfect for me. But there's some strikers that they don't want you doing that. They just want you getting down the outside and crossing. So you have to change a bit. They have to change. It's give and take. But Southampton, they've been on fire, to be fair to them. Their signings have fitted in straight away. QPR, maybe it's a bit more harsh because I do think QPR have had some tough fixtures. And I think you give them a few weeks and a few of the games that you got coming up, they'll be a lot higher up than bottom 3. 3 of the back 4, 3 of QPR's back 4 are all new signings. People always talk about as a defence they need to work as a unit, and I would imagine that is an area where if you do need time to get to know each other, that's a critical area. 100%. I think for attackers it's different. I think for a back 4 that's massive. I think you can see Man United and teams like that at the moment with new defenders, and they look all over the place, and they're the top teams, you know. So I think the boys, they've not done as bad as what's being made out. You see some of the pundits on Match of the Day, and they just pick 2 clips out of 90 minutes and want to make a fuss. There's obviously been a high-profile signing, and they want to get on his back for some reason, but he's an unbelievable player. In my lifetime, alongside Nesta, he's been the best defender I've ever seen, and I think he's got so much to offer to this club, and I think he is doing that. You see Stephen Cork, a fantastic young player. I think he'll be in and around the England squad at some stage this season, probably when results start picking up and the pundits stop bloody hammering the boys. But no, they've done all right, and I think they'll get better once they knit. As players, does that affect you if you're sitting watching the highlights on TV and the pundits start getting stuck into you as an individual, or I suppose does it vary from player to player? Yeah, I'd say it varies. I think you wouldn't be human if it didn't affect you at all. But there's some pundits out there that want to make a name for themselves and just hammer people at any chance. But then you look at others, like the 2 on Monday Night Football for me. I can't stay away from my TV on a Monday at 7 o'clock. They're amazing. And I think if they do it in a constructive way, that's fine. But people that seem to come out with an agenda, then some players may be affected by it, yeah. Yeah, if you're Mignolet, you certainly wouldn't have watched it on Monday. John Sharp has been in touch regarding his favourite memory from the 2010-11 season. Tweet us using #LCI to let us know yours. His was the fans' reaction to the announcement when we didn't get any points deducted from the FA. And Hogan, that must have been an incredible moment in the dressing room. Less than an hour before kick-off against Leeds on the final day, there's this confusion as to whether QPR were going to be promoted, whether we would be docked points, whether we would need a result against Leeds to finish in the playoffs. It must have been an amazing sense of relief. Unbelievable. I just remember Gianni Palladini running down to the change room in tears. He was crying, he was wearing a suit and his shirt had been ripped open. So it was nice, and the boys were just buzzing. And then we came out and
that atmosphere for the warm-up was crazy. Like we had won the league, but it was unbelievable. And the game wasn't a great game in itself. We ended up losing the game 2-1, but I think that was more because the boys were just in party mode in their head, where we've just achieved the dream really. And then at the end of the game, the pitch was just smothered in the fans, and it was unreal.
Going back to the start of, well, when you first joined QPR, there was a period of just constant change of managers, where you had John Gregory brought you in, and within a month of him bringing you in on loan, he had left the club, and Mick Harford came in. He was at the club for a month, and then he left, and then Luigi Di Canio came in. It must have been very difficult for you to settle in that period.
Yeah, it was strange, especially I was young and it was very early in my football development, and growing up at West Ham, the youth team coaches had been there 30, 40 years, so all you knew was continuity. And coming here and experiencing that early doors, it was crazy. Looking back on it, I think the biggest years for a young player between 19 and 22. So from a selfish point of view, maybe it didn't help me the amount of changes, because you have to know different roles and that every so often. But I wouldn't change it for the world, to be honest. It was still a great time. Each and every manager, there's something that you can look back on and smile on. So no, it was good.
What must have been a challenge for you, and again at that period of your career as well, at that age, is that some managers would come in and they would rate you heavily, and other managers would come in and send you out on loan.
Yeah, it was strange. You never knew, well, me personally, I never knew if I was coming or going. And especially at a young age like that, sometimes it's hard to take because you feel you should be in the team, you're not. There's other times you might not be playing well to your expectations, but you're being named every week, so then you don't know where you stand. But it was great. Even the managers, like for instance, Ian Dowie, I think, had one appearance under Ian Dowie, but he was fantastic with me on the training field. He would speak to me and he'd let me know why I'm not in. So that's great. That's all you can ask for. If you've been left out, it's always nice if you get an explanation, but different managers have different approaches, so you shouldn't expect one. And I enjoyed it under all the managers. It was a roller coaster.
It's got to be so difficult, though, hasn't it? You know, you're playing for one manager. You're playing, as you say, you're playing a certain style of football. Next week, another manager comes along. And with this club, it was virtually almost weekly or bike-weekly, and you were having to literally change your whole style, your positioning, and of course, it must play havoc on a player and their confidence. Yeah,
of course, it was strange. We had, like you said, from John Gregory to Mick Harford to I'd say old school English managers, but they had modern ideas, to be fair to them. And then we went to Luigi Di Canio, who couldn't speak English at all, so we had a translator on the training pitch, but we drag training on for even longer.
Wasn't it?
Yeah. But his ideas, footballing wise, were fantastic. Just couldn't get him across, but so it was different like that.
We played some lovely football under him.
Some brilliant football. I think, to be fair, there might have been Ruben's tactics, and he was just telling us what to do.
Probably, which best summed up Luigi Di Canio's reign, was we played here against Burnley. We went 2-0 up and we're playing sensational football. I think QPR fans were singing to Burnley fans, "You might as well go home." Andy Cole was getting plenty of criticism. And then he went and scored a hat-trick, and we lost 4-2. It was goals at both ends. Yeah,
that's what he was all about, that. It was an open game, which was strange because, especially back then, you'd always think Italian managers would be a bit conservative and just look to consolidate. But it was just mayhem. You'd score threes and fours, you'd let in threes and fours. And that Burnley game, we were 2 up in 15 minutes. Adjiman was on absolute fire with the 2 goals, but then Andy Cole, I think he had enough of the abuse and he just decided to put the game to bed.
And that he did. OK, questions coming in for Hogan. If you've got a question, send it to us. Tweet using #LCI. And remember, the best question of the night, as chosen by Hogan, will win a signed shirt. So tweet us now using #LCI, which Zoe Paraskeva has done. Hogan, what was your biggest highlight of your QPR career?
Possibly making my Premier League debut. I think it's a dream growing up as a kid, and it's obviously you watch it on TV for all those years, and to be able to say you played in the best league in the world, which it was at the time, and in my opinion still is, it was unbelievable. I had my family in the crowd.
It was at Everton?
Yeah, at Everton. And the manager, Neil Warnock, he just told me we was 1-0 up, and he told me to go on. I was on the right. He said, don't worry about anyone else on that pitch. Just do not let Baines out of your sight. And I didn't let him out of my sight. I was a bit nervous what Neil would do. But no, and it was great to win as well. So I'd say that.
Okay. And another question from Adam. Hogan, the best 3 players you played with while at QPR?
Adel Taarabt is by far and away the best player I've ever played with at QPR. Ali Fallin would be their second. The third one's a tough one. It's a toss-up between 3. There's Loic Remy, there's Ravel Morrison, but I'm going to give it to Esteban Granero. I thought this guy could see pictures so early, it was unbelievable. He'd play a pass before a pass had even been played to him, and you just you stood there and you're just wondering what on earth is going through his mind. Technically amazing, great guy, unbelievable temperament. I thought he was top draw.
It's an interesting one because for whatever reason it didn't seem to quite work for him at QPR, but it does seem that a lot of players will always say that Esteban was a great player. Why do you think that was?
I'm not sure. I think the change of manager didn't help. When one manager's brought him in, and especially for a foreign guy who's been with his hometown club, I know he went out on loan, but he's been with Madrid his whole life, and then he's come to England. We didn't start the season well. I thought he, away at West Brom and away at Tottenham, was absolutely sensational. He was unplayable, him and Ali Fallin, Tottenham away. Yeah. Because I'm Dembele's biggest fan and he couldn't get near him. And I thought that said everything about those two.
That was probably our best hour of football all season.
Yeah, it was a joy to watch. And if Gareth Bale doesn't get him out of trouble, then QPR, they're going to win that game 2 or 3. And I just thought Esteban in patches showed how great he was. Maybe, I'm not sure, maybe he just needed a manager that would play the team based around him. Some people need that extra responsibility, and I think maybe Esteban's one of those.
Okay, we've had another tweet regarding the best moment from that season. Ishmael Miller's last-minute goal against Leicester on his birthday as well. And for a lot of people, I know you were speaking about the moment that perhaps the players realised they were going to get promoted was away at Barnsley. But for a lot of people, they will say that game against Leicester, because Leicester were trying to sneak into the playoffs, I think. It was going into the last 5 minutes. We won 1-0 with that goal, and then the results came in from elsewhere, and everyone else seemed to have slipped up, and it gave us that real good cushion. That must have been a special moment as well, that game. Yeah,
definitely. Any last-minute winner's special, but that was just... It was crazy. The atmosphere here, he's in the stands with the fans celebrating, and that was a loan signing. And for him to show that passion, he even knew how much it meant. So I thought that was a fantastic moment. And then, like you said, the results coming in after, that gave us an extra bit of breathing space. And then, you know, you're like 2 or 3 games ahead of other teams. So you're in a good position. So that was a big moment.
Clint Hill was talking last week about that promotion season, and he was speaking about the impact of Adel Taarabt, Wayne Routledge, and he said, and no one should forget the impact of Hogan Ephraim to get us that start that we had. And he said that for the first 15 games of the season, Hogan was sensational. Was that the best period of your QPR career in terms of your own performances, do you think?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, no, definitely. I think the season started perfect at home to Barnsley. We won 4-0 and I had a couple of assists. And then the Sheffield United game was brilliant. I couldn't believe it at first, because every time I've been to Sheffield United before, we've always lost. So looking up at the scoreboard, it was like 21 minutes gone, 3-0 up. I played a part in 2 and scored 1. So it was fantastic. But yeah, I agree. Those first 15 games I started well. But I wasn't the only one. Adele, Ali Fallin, Sean Derry, Hyder Helgson, Jamie
Look
Mackie.
at these goals now. That was the goal against Sheffield United. And like you say, Sheffield United was considered this is going to be a really difficult game for us. And we were 3-0 up, I think, by half-time. And this was a key goal. This was Doncaster away when Adel Taarabt wasn't available to play, and you came in for that game and scored the winner as well. And the goal there against Middlesbrough, is that the pick of the bunch?
Yeah, the Middlesbrough one's the pick of the bunch. Adele, you just know that he can see that pass, so you make the run and he'll put it there. And I think the defender, it might have been Matthew Bates. I've run across him at the time, And I don't think he went, first of all, to run with me because he's thinking that he ain't going to pick out that pass. And he obviously didn't know Adele too well. So when it's come, I've made it sweet on the volley, so that was nice.
And Brian, as a fan, that must have been an amazing season because obviously it had been 15 years since we were in the Premier League.
It was one of the greatest seasons. I've got to just say, we talk about Adele, and I was saying to you just before the programme started, I thought Adele brought the best out of you as a player in your time here, and I don't know, I think you felt possibly that he did contribute to that. Yeah,
definitely. He's a joy to play with. Sometimes, obviously, he can overdo it and want to do a bit much himself, but he's learned as the years have gone on, and he releases the ball at the right time, like you saw for that goal. And he's just someone you can trust 100% that you'll give him the ball, he'll protect it, and he'll make something happen. And it was just easy. You just make runs for him, and you just know that he's going to pull something out of the bag at some stage.
And when you were asking about how I felt that season, again, typical in QPR fashion, an emotional roller coaster season, because really, in theory, we didn't know if we were going to get promoted until an hour before kick-off or 45 minutes before kick-off. So again, we couldn't really celebrate it until that last day, even though we knew heart of hearts that we were up. But it was an amazing, as I've said it a few times, you know, when I left to come to the game, the ground on that Saturday, wasn't it, midday game, I said to my wife, you don't say this to your wife, I've been waiting all my life for this. But it was just so fantastic because, you know, 15 years since we were in the Premier League, 70 years before that, before we were promoted, and all we've ever, you know, a lot of QPR fans. And I think this is good for fans because it hardens us and it makes us appreciate the good times. Is that we've had a lot of doom and gloom and downs. You know, we know how to get relegated, but the promotion side wasn't as easily coming. So it was the most amazing season. I actually knew at that time how a Man United fan felt with success and winning games, and it was one of those seasons I don't think we'll ever forget.
No.
Archie Bradshaw has tweeted, Hogan, if you had to pick a five-a-side team out of all the players you played with at QPR, who would be in your five-a-side team?
A good question, that.
I'd have Julio in goal. Great goalkeeper, and he could play well with his feet. I'd probably have, as my defender, Matt Connolly, because ball-playing wise, I think he was one of the best, and I'd want just my five to just play football. And then the three in front of him would have to be Ali, Esteban and Adele.
You wouldn't put yourself in the team then?
I'd be the first roll-on sub. I'd be that. Yeah, but I'd have that because then Ali and Esteban just keep it all day, give it to Adele, and you'll be fine.
Yeah, you'd be chasing shadows up against that five, wouldn't you? Okay, looking ahead to, I suppose, this weekend, West Ham, obviously a team you know very well, where your career began. It's going to be a very difficult test for QPR, but is it a game where it's possibly the first winnable game, dare I say it, of the season on the road for Rangers? You mentioned about being against Spurs, against United, against the informed Southampton, who are sitting pretty in second. Is this the first away game QPR can go to and say there's a chance here that we can win this game?
Yeah, I think they would have felt that way before the Southampton game, but now that's out of the way. The West Ham one is a winnable game. I think Upton Park is one of the best stadiums in the Premier League for me. When the fans get behind the team there, it's insane. But they tend to do it more against the bigger sides. So if the boys can go there and set an early tempo, maybe nick a goal early doors, the fans can turn on them, and then that would work in their favour massively. But their last home game was against Liverpool, and they looked brilliant. Valencia and Sacco looked sensational at times. But I know Mark Noble's been struggling with an injury, and he's a massive player for them. So I think if the boys go there and just quieten down the crowd the first 15, 20 minutes, then they can definitely walk away with all three.
That's a key part of it as well, because for whatever reason, there's a section of the West Ham fans that don't particularly take to their manager, so you don't want to give them something to shout about.
Yeah, exactly. So, like I said, if QPR go there and they can go one up in the first 20 minutes, half an hour, even keep it 0-0, there's every chance that they could turn on their manager. And I don't think he's one of the managers that just brushes it off. I think he likes to do something controversial to make a point back. So you can interrupt their game plan like that and then take it from there, because there's enough quality on the boys to go and score 2, maybe even 3 goals there. But we also know you've got to keep them out because they've got players that can attack you and be a big threat. Okay,
you were at the club during what was quite a crazy time, certainly early on. And not too many players can say, do you want to know what it's like? Watch this DVD. But fortunately, you can. Here's a clip from the 4-year plan.
nice. Very nice.
Fabio, you need to cut down on all this expenditure.
I know. No, this is very expensive.
That's just a snippet there from the 4-year plan. Flavio Briatore and Bernie Eccleston, when they used to go into the dressing room like that when you were getting ready for games and moaning about the cost of the water on the tables, how did the players find it? It must have been quite strange.
I first saw that on the DVD because I couldn't believe there was 2 billionaires talking about the price of Powerade and water. But yeah, no, it was a strange one. They're two guys that put a lot of money into the club. And I know people say owners shouldn't have an influence on teams, and I'm not saying they did, not for a minute. But when you spend that sort of money and it's your club, I think you're entitled to make suggestions, not about just team selection in general. And if they thought the Powerade was too expensive, lucky we didn't have Lucozade, because I think that's even more. So, but no, they were passionate people. I don't think they were the brightest football people in the world, but it's hard to tell people that powerful in what they do that they may not be right about something. So you've got to take the rough with the smooth, and at the end of the day, we got promoted. The club have new owners now, and the new owners seem to have taken it onto another level once again. So I think in the end, this all worked out well.
One of the best moments in the 4-year plan was probably when they all went into the bar area and they were discussing what's not working, and the QPR squad were asked for their input, and this is how it went.
Myself, Amit and Bernie, really we want to understand what happened. We want to understand if the motivation is there, if the concentration is there.
We've had a bad one, but it's not something that's not fixable yet. There's still a while to go. But the problem is, and the reason that we're here is to try and see if there's any way that we can prevent it from continuing any further.
We'll take that with them.
Obviously, we haven't won in a long time, so probably confidence is low. We've seen players leave, some new players have come in, but it's still changes which are going on. Although we might not like to admit it, it's affecting everyone.
Nasty enough. Because when you want to win, whatever you do, you need the anger, nasty anger. If not, the people beat you.
So we need some more personal pride. We lost 1-0 at home to Scunthorpe, and it didn't look like it hurt us enough. And for me, it's embarrassing losing at home to Scunthorpe. That's just not acceptable. We're too good for that. The same with Nottingham Forest, 5-0. Our heads are down after 2-0 down. There's no fight, no one wants to smash no one. We're just happy, taking it.
Yeah, Ephraim, what you said is exactly our feeling as well. We are not that. We don't admit, but we're not fighting. We're not fighting for 90
minutes. It seems in that clip that your genuine passion was coming out there. I know you're a huge football lover, and you're certainly someone who gets riled when results aren't going well.
Yeah, I think that game is still sticks in my memory now, losing 1-0 at home to Scunthorpe. It was terrible, and the fans have completely lost their heads as well because they couldn't believe what they were seeing. And it was more, the boys had spoke about it themselves. We were all upset with it. And then when you have the owner coming in, who, like I said, may not have the best football knowledge in the world, questioning you, it was frustration at that as well. So you're just trying to get everything off your chest. And then when the DVDs come out, the Scunthorpe fans have hammered me on Twitter. The whole 120 of them have just absolutely murdered me. No, but it was tough times at the club. But like I said, we got through it. We ended up doing well to stay up that year. I think that's...
so when Neil Warnock came in for the final couple of months.
After, yeah. And that's one of my great memories of QPR as well, when we played away at Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
What a game that was, because that was like a relegation decider, really. I know they went on to win at Sheffield Wednesday the next week and stay up, but that was unbelievable. And the fans there, that's the best I've seen the away fans at QPR in my time there. That stadium was rocking, and it felt like a home game.
Yeah, and interestingly, in that game, playing for Crystal Palace was Clint Hill and Sean Derry. And then in the summer, Neil Warnock brought those, and he also brought in Paddy Kenny, Bradley or Jamie Mackey. And he seemed to bring in players with very similar characters. How important was that in our promotion-winning season?
Massive. They were great lads. You can have a laugh and joke with them, but also they're hardened pros where they won't let people get away with murder. And they were fantastic. I didn't actually know how good a player Sean Derry was until I played with him. And I've said it to him many a times. He came and he surpassed the level I thought of him. Good on the ball, good tackler, complimented Ali Falling brilliantly in that promotion season. Clint Hill, what he's went on to do since he's come here is remarkable. You know, still playing now and club captain, fantastic. It's a credit to him. And Jamie Mackey was one of the main reasons for the promotion, I think, until he obviously got his injury. But he was fantastic. Bradley Orr, another great player, great lad. Paddy Kenny, sensational season. I'm sure he was in Team of the Year that year. If not, he definitely should have been. So it was some great signings from Warnock, and I don't think there was much money spent on those players. Yeah. So even hats off even more to him, because that was brilliant. But they're the sort of characters you need when you're going up. We also had others like Fitzhall, who's been around the block. He knows what it's all about. So it was a great mix. Had young players as well, and just a fantastic squad.
And Adel Turab probably isn't of a similar character to the players we've just mentioned, but he sort of seemed to add that extra ingredient. And I think Neil Warnock called a lot of the other players together and said, don't get too wound up by him if he doesn't turn up for training, just let him do what he does. And that, it just seemed to work.
Yeah, I think Neil Warnock handled him unbelievably. And that's probably the reason we went up. We'd win on a Saturday, you probably wouldn't see Adel for 3 or 4 days. And then you'd see him on the next Saturday and he'd just be unbelievable again. So you just let him do what he wants, and he was fantastic. And people make a lot of his character, but for me, I think the guy, he's funny as anything. And I think he's a nice guy. He's got a good heart. His heart's in the right place. And he's enjoyed his time here ever since he's been here. And I just can't wait for him to get fit so he can play this season, because he's someone who puts you on the edge of your seat, and I want to see that.
OK, another question coming in from Gus Skinner. Who was the best leader in the QPR squad?
The best leader in the QPR squad? It would probably have to be Clint Hill. I think he was the vocal man. He'd put his head in on the pitch and he'd show you. So he wouldn't just talk about it, he'd show you. He's a wise guy. He'd help the young players massively. Sean, you can't really say Clint Hill, not Sean Derry, because they sort of come as a pair, the two of them. So both of them, they were both fantastic. So I'd say those two. Footballing-wise, it was Adel. He was just sensational, and he showed it in a different way. I know they used to say it for England with Beckham. They said he wasn't the biggest talker, but he'd show us done on the pitch, and Adel was like that for us. Maybe he wouldn't be running around closing everybody down, but he would he'd be making key moments all over the pitch and scoring and making goals, and that was fantastic.
And we've had another tweet in from Danny Simpson. Does Hogan miss me?
Massively. It's the biggest miss since I left here.
Obviously, you got on very well with Danny Simpson, and he was crucial for us last season, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was fantastic. You know what you're getting with him. He's so reliable. And I was surprised that the club let him go, because I didn't see it coming. I hadn't spoke to Simo for a few weeks, and then that came out of the blue. He texted me saying like he just signed for Leicester, and I couldn't believe it, honestly. So I thought he was brilliant last year. Great guy to have in the changing room. He's another one, so funny, but he's a determined guy. And I was sad to see him go, but he done fantastic in the year he was here. And I know he was only here a year, but I think the fans they'll always take to him because they know that he put his heart on the line.
And he's a fella who knows how to win a promotion. Three in the bag now.
Yeah, he's got a few in the bag now, so he'll be buzzing with that.
And he played in the playoff final, and that it must be an incredible experience to play in that. I know you were watching the game, and that was a result that not too many, even the most positive QPR fan, could see.
No, that was unbelievable. From the minute Gary O'Neill gets sent off, you're just dreading it, and you're hoping you can make it to penalties by hook or by crook. And then you go up the other end and the ball drops. There's only one man you want there, and it falls to Bobby's left foot, and what a finish that is. I bet the Derby fans and the club, they couldn't believe it, but as someone as a QPR fan or member of the QPR club, you couldn't care less, and it was just a great way, possibly the best way to go up. I know you'd always want to win the league or whatever, but you get to the final and score a last-minute winner with 10 men. That's just fairy tale stuff.
I know Danny said afterwards that he won promotion with Sunderland and Newcastle by doing it automatically. But he said by winning it via the playoffs, it's on a completely different level in terms of the feeling. Because I suppose if you win it automatic, more often than not, you know, as we did when we won promotion in 2011, points deduction aside, you sort of know 3, 4, 5 games in advance that you're going to win it. Whereas in that case, we didn't know until Bobby's done what he did.
Yeah, no, definitely. I can't even imagine the nerves that go on there. I travelled with the West Ham squad when we got promoted through the playoffs, and it was Bobby again. And then watching the boys against Derby, it was nervous watching. So I couldn't even imagine what it'd be like. And I'm not sure everyone realises the jobs that are on the line and stuff like that throughout the whole club. And you just don't want to let anybody down. And the fans have been great all season, so it was a nice way to send them off.
It was a wonderful way as well. Did we really relish the thought of going into another 30 minutes of extra time, and then the thought of penalties? I mean, I don't think any of us could have taken it. Yeah,
no, it would have been crazy, especially the Wigan game, 1-0 down here. So it'd be great to come back in that, and then you go down to 10 men against Derby, and you think, has it all been for nothing?
The writing's on the wall, didn't you?
Yeah, and then just fantastic from Bobby.
And it's amazing how quickly the Derby County side end emptied out, and then we've just literally left.
Yeah, I suppose as a Derby fan, the last thing you want to do is sit and watch the celebrations on the pitch after that. But interestingly, a lot of players said afterwards, and you said it there, if the ball was going to drop to anyone, if you could pick anyone for that ball to drop to, you would say Bobby Zamora on his left foot. It seems collectively every player who's played with Bobby says that's who you'd want on the end of it. Why is that?
He's just an unbelievable finisher, especially, it's funny because he says his right's for smashing and his left for curling, for placing. And I don't want my left to do anything, but it was just a great finish, and he's got that one to a T. You do finishing drills, volleys, half volleys on the floor, either foot, he's just ridiculous. And when it drops there, he's got such a cool head, you just know that under pressure, he can do that. He's like a golfer that's been practicing his whole life, and that one shot's come and he's produced massively. And I think that the club, they took into him even more. He wasn't the biggest fans' favourite before then, but now he'll go down in folklore for what he did.
Yeah, absolutely. OK, just a reminder of the topic of debate this evening. Tweet us using hashtag LCI. What we want to know, what is your most memorable moment from our promotion-winning season of 2010-11? And while we're on it, onto the competition as well. Again, tweet us using hashtag LCI. The competition, tweet us your questions for Hogan, and the best one, as selected by him, will win a signed QPR shirt. At the moment, we're 6 games in. We're in the bottom 3. As a player, does that affect you looking at the league table so early on, seeing the current position?
I wouldn't say so, no, because if we're being realistic, no one was expecting QPR to be in the top 4 or anything. So we knew it was going to be a long, hard season, and you'd take it if you could stay up by just one place, you know. So it's going to be a tough season. I don't think QPR are going to be 15 points clear of the relegation zone by December, but I don't think they'll be adrift either. I think they'll be in there, and it'll be a tough battle. But the players here, the quality will come through. There's too much quality and experience for it not to. And for me, I said from the start of the season, the boys will stay up, and I still want to believe that.
Do you think it's a little bit too much same old, same old? You know, the last 2 seasons we were in the Premier League, we struggled. We were hoping this time there'd be a sort of almost a new beginning, and we're back to where we started. We're in the bottom 3, and it's, you know, psychologically for the players, it's got to be tough to pull themselves out, knowing what it was 2 seasons and 3 seasons ago. I mean, the pressure on the players as well.
Yeah, but I think where there's been such a big turnaround in players, they wouldn't have the thoughts of the previous seasons in their head. But for anyone, don't get me wrong, you'd rather be in the top 3 than the bottom 3, and confidence will be affected. But I don't think majorly. You look at some of the experience on that field, Joey Barton, Rio Ferdinand, Robert Green, they're just too experienced to let it affect them. And in a way, people like Joey, Rio, I think that they'd rather be in a relegation battle than just sitting in 12th place, having nothing to play for. They need something to play for. They want to go out and have to fight for something. So I think it'll bring the best out of, I was going to say the real men, but when I say that, I mean like the real hardened characters, and it'll bring the best out of them, and I think the boys will be fine.
Well, maybe the players would like to be there in a fighting situation, but I think the fans would rather us be in 12th, having nothing to really play for.
No, of course, yeah. For the fans, then definitely that's understandable. And I I can imagine that a lot of fans will be thinking it's going to be a bad season. We haven't started great. I'd say give the boys time. I'm sure they'll come through it. They've got some fantastic characters there and some fantastic players.
Well, I still feel like I'm at school going back to work on a Monday, you know, with us losing. So I'm so looking forward to us going in, and hopefully we'll start on Sunday.
When do you feel that the league table starts to take shape? We're 6 games in. You're saying there's no real cause for concern at this stage because, as we found with Stoke the other night, they beat Newcastle and jumped from 17th to 12th. So it is very early to be worried too much about a league position. Yeah,
I'd say give it 10 to 12 games in and you get a rough idea. I still think it will change considerably after that. But I think after 10 or 12 games, then you start to see how the table's going to form. And I think it's no secret in the Premier League. There's a table of 7 who are going to be in there, and then there's another 13. And it's like a lottery. You could just pick anyone out of a hat who'd be in that bottom 3 out of 13. So it will be tough, but out at ground, you look at QPR squad compared to some of the others that are going to be down there, you'd have QPR squad all day long, especially this place rocking. I think it's a no-brainer. I think there's a few teams that game at home to Sunderland, they wouldn't have won that. And I think QPR won that, 1, because of the quality of players they got and the characters, 2, because Loftus Road, when it's buzzing like that, it's insane how close they are to the pitch. Big Premier League teams, they're not used to that. You saw the year we stayed up, you come back and beat Liverpool, you beat Tottenham, the Arsenal game, and that's what Loftus Road can do, and I'm sure that it will play a major role this season.
Why does that have such an impact on opposing players?
To be honest,
because the one that sticks in my mind is when we played Chelsea here in the Premier League. We beat them 1-0 when they had 2 sent off. And you could see the Chelsea players who have played in far bigger stadiums, they looked visibly surprised by the atmosphere that they'd walked into.
I think, to be honest, you go to a few stadiums and some might have maybe like a north stand or an east stand that are quite fanatic, and the others just sit there and watch. But QPR, you have 4 sides just jumping, and the fans are nearly on the pitch anyway, so they're on top of you. You can hear every single word. And it's quite a nice, small, compact stadium, what I would call an old-school Premier League stadium where you can proper gather the atmosphere. And it's crazy. You can't even hear yourself think as a home player, let alone an away player who's getting abused. So I don't think that any team will relish coming here this season.
But you mentioned the Chelsea game. That was the most hostile atmosphere I've ever felt and seen from QPR fans. I mean, from a QPR fan, it was the most amazing atmosphere. But it was electric, and you could feel it. And, you imagine, well, you saw how it did reflect in the Chelsea players. And, we tried to replicate it the next time they came down. It wasn't quite the same, but it was almost. But I think that atmosphere may have been just a one-off.
OK, more questions coming in. Dave Webber has said, what a quality guest Hogan is. Very level-headed young man. Ben Barber, which player have you played with who has had the best shot?
The best shot?
I remember watching Jibril Cisse train, and he never placed it. He just put his boot through it, and no one was stopping it.
He had a cannonball of a strike that would literally explode off his foot. But for all round, as a strike, I'd say maybe Loic Remy. He had a variety where he could put his foot through it, he could place it. Yeah, I'd probably say Loic Remy. He's always going to score goals, and I remember the first day he trained, I'd seen him play against Man United a few times in the Champions League, and I have to say I wasn't the biggest fan of his. He was playing wide right, and I didn't think it suited him. And then he's come to QPR the first day training, and we've gone into a crossing and finishing drill, and I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Header, left foot, right foot volleys. He just looked brilliant, and been a big fan ever since.
Not sure where he ended up, but moving on from there. In terms of you, I know you're a big football fan, and like you come into Harlington the day after a big game and you'd be talking about the game and particular players. Is coaching, management something you'd like to go into when you retire?
Yeah, definitely. I think give it 2, maybe 3 summers and I'll start my coaching badges. It's definitely something I want to do. I've always been fascinated by it, and yeah, I want to try my hand at that.
And you'd like to go into the management side as well? Yeah,
that'd be the main bit for me.
Yeah,
going in and dealing with everything and just running the show basically.
How do you think you would handle dealing with, because it's almost like the on the pitch stuff is the easy bit. It's like the off the pitch, the characters that perhaps aren't in your plans. Who's you talked about managers you've played under a lot. Whose style do you think you'd most replicate? I know I found it interesting you said Ian Dowie only played you once, and yet you speak highly of him.
Yeah, Ian Dowie was fantastic. I think the hardest part as a manager is keeping the players happy that aren't involved. And he managed to do that, and also Paulo Sousa, because I don't think it's no surprise. They were both players not too long ago, so they probably know and have first-hand experience of how it feels not to be playing. And I thought they handled that fantastically. And they were both great managers. So if I could take something along those lines, and Ian Dowie, his training sessions, they were by far and away the best training sessions I had, probably other than Mark Hughes. But Ian Dowie's training was unbelievable. He thought he could play as well a bit, to be fair, which that was a bit funny. But yeah,
what made it so special?
The tempo, the intensity, everything was just football based, just pass, pass, pass. And as a player, you'd come off and absolutely shattered from training, but with a bigger smile on your face because you're happy with what you've done. Where other managers, they can drag it out, and it could be a long old hour and a half out there when it's stop-start, no intensity to it. But his sessions were unbelievable.
And variety? Because I'd imagine there's that. It must be quite difficult to be training players day in, day out for a couple of years and keeping it fresh. Yeah,
that's a massive thing. And Dowie probably only here, I think, 15 games or something like that. So I'd never know what he was like over a 2-3 year span. But Fitzhall has been with him everywhere, Palace, Oldham. And he said even before he came, he said, unbelievable coach. And he lived up to that. He was fantastic.
Okay. This weekend against West Ham, while many of us will be driving or getting the train, there are plenty hardy QPR souls who will be walking more than 14 miles from Loftus Road to Upton Park to raise money and awareness for the Down syndrome Tiger Cubs. It's Tiger Feet 6. They've been doing it every year for the last 6 years to raise, as I say, money and awareness for what is a great cause. And here's details of it. Tiger Feet 6 taking place this Sunday from Loftus Road to Upton Park. A great cause. They've raised over £4,700 already. I know the target is £20,000, so get behind them and donate if you can, and if you haven't already, the details are there. So get behind them, a great cause, as I say, for the Down syndrome Tiger Cubs. And questions continue to come in for you, Hogan. Ask Hogan what Luigi Di Canio was like as a manager and his not being able to speak English at all, which you mentioned earlier was obviously a challenge for him. Yeah, it was a big challenge. He... to be fair, he's got a good sense of humour about him. He's always smiling and joking, but his English wasn't good at all. So he had a translator, which it could be tough because it could make sessions which you want, like we we're just talking about, sharp and intense. It could take away a bit of that, but it'd be like any of us going to a foreign country. You have to give him a bit of leeway, and the football under him was special. So I enjoyed it. Okay, and Gus Skinner. The pressure of being a footballer can be huge. Who helped you deal with the pressure the best? I would say outside of football, my mum was always brilliant. And then I've got my immediate family, my brother and sister were fantastic as well. And my friends around me were always great. Whether I was going through a great time or a bad time, they were always fantastic. So I'd say that. And I've been lucky enough to play with some players, especially here, for quite a long time. Ali Falling, Fitzhall, people like that. Anton Ferdinand, who I've known since I was 11, 12 years of age, he's a massive influence on me in the football world as well. So people like that were fantastic. But if I had to choose one, I'd say probably my mum. How has she helped you? Has she helped you to keep grounded if you were doing really well and getting carried away? Help you lift your chin if you were going through a difficult time? Yeah, she's a strange one in a way. Whenever I play well, she thinks I've been terrible. Whenever I'm terrible, she thinks I've been well. So she either knows nothing about football, or she's keeping me grounded. Yeah. No, so she was great with that, and she'd always support me, home or away. She'd be all over the country ever since I was like 11 years of age at West Ham. So she was great, and she's the main person I do it all for. So it was nice to have that support, and I know that I'll have her back in no matter what. So she would be the main one. Okay, and you mentioned Ali Fowlin there. Obviously, he's going through a very difficult time. I know you're close to Ali. 3 ACLs in 3 years. I know QPR fans are desperate to see him back, and if anyone can come back from that, it's Ali Fowlin. Yeah, definitely. The guy, unbelievable player, but you put that to the side for a moment. He's a fantastic person. He's learned English with no English teacher. He's never had a lesson, and he's just a great guy. That sums him up. And my heart, it broke for him when that happened. I know how hard it was the first time he done it. So then to do 3 in 3 years is just, it's the worst luck I've ever heard of in football. And I just wish him a speedy recovery. I spoke with him the other day. He said he started his rehab, so hopefully he'll stay strong and do well, because the club need him back. And also I want to see him back playing, so I know that's what makes him the happiest. And I've never met anyone more happy to play football than him. So I know that'll be killing him right now, and my thoughts are out to him. Yeah, absolutely. And we're just almost on the hour, incredibly, already. Thanks very much for coming in. Just on your future, what's your situation at the moment? I've started training with a club this week since Monday. I won't want to say who until it gets decided, but yeah, I've enjoyed it. I've trained Monday, Tuesday and today, so a bit tired, but I've enjoyed it. It's been nice to get back in, and I just want to find somewhere where it's going to put a smile on my face again, play some nice football and get some good results. And I think that could happen very soon.
Can I just ask a very quick question? You went out and played in Toronto in the MLS. How different did you find the football playing out there to playing Premier League here, or the Championship?
The standard was brilliant. I was surprised by the standards. Everyone physically was amazing. And then in the midfield, there would just be Colombians, Venezuelans, Chileans, all South Americans that could just play, and the standard was brilliant. Everyone played like Swansea from the back, and we're here. We didn't play like that, to be fair, and we didn't do too well. But no, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I'd love to go back out there one day. And Toronto was a brilliant city as well, amazing city. I still go back on holiday each year, and no, I love my time there. Okay, and the question of the hour for the signed QPR shirt. What was the best question that you've been asked? I'll have to say Gus Skinner, that last question. Gus Skinner, the pressure of being a footballer can be huge. Who helped you deal with it the best? The answer was
Hogan's mum, and you, Gus, have won a signed QPR shirt. So many congratulations to you. If you tweet at AdamHolm86, and we'll organise to get a signed QPR shirt off to you, courtesy of Hogan Ephraim. Brian, thanks very much for joining us, and Hogan, a huge thanks to you for coming in, and best of luck with your new club. I'm sure QPR fans will be keeping their eye on your progress. And it all remains to say, thanks very much for watching. We won't be here next week in the lead up to the international break. We'll be back on Thursday the 16th, looking ahead to Liverpool here at Loftus Road. You've been watching London Calling.